Hey, in this video, I'm going to be talking about a very recent study from March 2025 that seems to claim that under the Great Pyramids of Giza, there is something that resembles a gigantic Tesla coil battery. Hi, it's Rupert Isaacson from longridehome.com. As many of you who follow us know, we have a program called Little Besa, based on shamanism, altered states of consciousness, and those experiences that I had while spending a lot of time with the Sun Bushmen of the Kalahari and other indigenous peoples, and being exposed to a lot of their healing practices and so on. Now, a lot of the way in which I talk about this is usually confined to my own experience and the healing technologies that these people have and bringing these into your life. However, we also love to explore mythology and mythos and where this intersects with history and civilization as we know it. And we couldn't resist making this video now, today, because a rather groundbreaking and exciting, is it true, is it not true, we don't know, study has just come out from the University of Pisa in Italy and the University of Strathclyde in Scotland, two Italian professors, Professors Biondi and Malanga, and they published this just in March 2025. Having taken SAR, which is synthetic aperture radar, a new technology for looking into the ground, having taken 3D pictures under the ground, under the Pyramid of Khafre, which is one of the Pyramids of Giza, it appears, they say, that they found something rather like this. If you can see my rather crude drawing here, you'll see that there are pillars going down into the ground. There's actually 8 of them they claim to have found, with apparently winding, are they coils or are they stairways? Going down, they say 648 meters, and then resting on 2 giant chambers. Now, they also claim that this structure could be as old as 38,000 years. The accepted wisdom when I was doing my degree in history and archaeology at the University of York in England about 500 years ago, when I was of age to do that, was that the pyramids were built about 4,500 years ago by hand. But of course, as many of us know, there's no technology even today that really seems able to have done it. So everyone has been arguing forever and ever who actually built them. Was it aliens? Was it from Atlantis? Was it people from another dimension? Who was it? Because no one actually knows. And despite the fact that mainstream archaeology absolutely sticks to the 4,500-year-old line, they can't prove it because they can't recreate the technologies that would have been used. You can't even fit a dollar bill in between these great blocks, etc., etc. So we've also found out in recent years that the timeline of history and civilization is much older than we thought. So when I was a student, we were told that it all starts with Sumeria around 6,000 years ago. But since then, the findings of the complex at Gobekli Tepe in Turkey put civilization back to 11,000 years. And even more recently, I've got to check that I say this correctly, I'll probably do it wrong, Gunung Padang, a big pyramid in Indonesia, pyramids again, that's interesting, they think 25 to 27,000 years old, possibly. Now, what we do know is that somewhere around 13,000 years ago, there was some sort of environmental collapse, which a lot of people call the end of the Younger Dryas, the Little Ice Age. And it seems that there were cataclysmic floods. For some reason, we don't know why. If this is true, and it seems to be because every single culture on the planet seems to have an inherited flood myth, no matter which hemisphere they come from, was there some sort of civilization that pre-existed the Egyptian civilization that we know that could have built something like this? And if they did, why? What was it? Is it something like a giant battery? The only reason I say giant battery with a question mark, by the way, is because Nikola Tesla, that man, built something very similar. to tap into free energy, to tap into energy from the Earth's magnetic field effectively over 100 years ago, and was promptly shut down. All his funding was withdrawn by JP Morgan, who was the big financier who had up till then stood behind Tesla, because if everyone could get free energy, how was JP Morgan going to make any money off that? So all the money went into, of course, fossil fuels, oil and gas, and that's where it's been for the last 100 years. The first question, are Professors Biondi and Malanga correct in what they found? I looked online, and we have a man, Professor Lawrence Conyers from the University of Denver, who's refuting it. And we have various people in Egypt, in their official departments of Egyptology, refuting it. That's to be expected. Of course, this is going to be massively controversial, but it's also fun, right? I often feel with these things, don't worry about coming down on, is it true, is it not true, is it real, is it not real? Enjoy the conversation. Enjoy looking at all of the accepted timelines, whether they're the ones that I grew up with. Okay, the pyramids are built by hand 4,500 years ago as tombs for kings, even though they've never found any dead bodies in them, even though the technology that we have even today doesn't seem able to build these things. Or was it, as Plato said, this legend of Atlantis goes back, it's not a New Age thing. It first crops up from a man called Plato, who's writing, over 2,000 years ago, and the student of Socrates. And he writes that his ancestor Solon went to Egypt and was told that there was a pre-existing, pre-diluvian, pre-flood civilization that was much, much more powerful, people coming from above, etc. The Sumerians themselves, who were the people that I was taught had the first civilizations in Mesopotamia, talked about being given their civilization by, lucky for those who enjoy that mythos, people from above, perhaps ancient aliens. Some people think, no, it's actually humans, but from another dimension. Were these pyramids ways that enough energy could be generated that people could cross over in portals between other dimensions? The Egyptians seem to think so, because an awful lot of their mythology concerns this. The honest answer is we don't know. What we do know is that in the last 20 years or so, the accepted timelines have been pushed back, first with Gobekli Tepe, then again with Gunung, Padang, and now with this, perhaps? Are we in fact not the first civilization that's employed the types of advanced technologies that we think we've invented? Are there other timelines? Are there multiple worlds and dimensions that sometimes come together? This is a great mystery, but it's a mystery that enhances our quality of life by considering, looking at, and enjoying. So don't worry if you believe it or don't believe it, but let us know, what do you think? Was this a giant Tesla coil battery throwing up free energy for some advanced civilization? Are these guys full of it? You tell us in the comments below. If you like this, you can subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more with this stuff and having a lot of fun. Okay, see you on the next one.